Hi, Noble community. We're thrilled to welcome two wonderful ladies today to our podcast. Both are married to kind-hearted Indonesian men, and we're excited to hear about their unique experience. So, ladies, could you both please start by introducing yourself, your name, where you're from, profession, and how long you have lived in Indonesia?
Okay, I'll go first. My name is Jean Sugandi. I'm originally Canadian. I came to Indonesia more than 30 years ago. We have 3 daughters, but my daughters are already young adults now. And currently I'm working as a cultural coach here in Jakarta.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dokanani. I'm German. I came to Indonesia about 20 years ago. I'm married in Indonesian. Have 3 beautiful kids with them, and I'm a doctor. I'm an entrepreneur, a mother, a wife, friends, and enjoying Indonesia.
So let's dive into the conversation today, right? What it's like to be married to an Indonesian. And I'd like to start with sharing my own experience, right? So growing up, I didn't quite fit the tradition Indonesian beauty standard. I always feel like, I have a dark skin. I had a short hair. I was quite tomboy. I'm quite feisty. I punched a bully when I was in the 4th grade. I was outspoken, assertive. So it's not really aligned with, the traditional Indonesian girl or woman that is more submissive, let's say. That I thought the Indonesian man preferred, right? So, although, I had Indonesian boyfriends, I ultimately felt like that my better match, I would be better with the foreign partners. As is like often the case, unlike both of you, that the Indonesian women are marrying with the foreign partners or foreign men. And then you both found Indonesian man as your husband. So the first question is, what drew you to your husband? Is there like certain qualities that make them stand out as different from the typical Indonesian man, and that, like I said, the different breed that I didn't know of?
We met in school. We were going to college at that time, and we were in the same class. So at that time, he was the minority. So
you were not in Indonesia, right?
No, we were in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And so he was the minority. And we met in the same class, and I just saw him as somebody kind who was interesting because I found his background interesting, very different than mine. And so we became friends first. Did a lot of activities together, studied together, and he kind of grew on me. It wasn't love at first sight, but we became friendlier, very good friends, and I ended up moving back to Indonesia. So it was a friendship rather than a immediate attraction.
Yeah. And you, Nani?
We also met on campus through mutual friends, and maybe one thing about my husband is because he actually grew up in the States. So then he had to come back to Indonesia during college. So when I went to college here, he knew exactly what I was going through because I was the only Vule on the whole campus.
Yeah.
So he actually helped me navigate all the obstacles, explaining, hey, why do Indonesians maybe say certain things or do certain things, as makes me really comfortable. And about roughly a year later, actually, we got married. So it was pretty quick.
Really? Okay.
Because he just wanted to be together. And I mean, Indonesia is pretty hard with just dating. It's kind of tricky.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of judgmental if you're like living together before you marry.
Impossible. Like in Jogja, finding a house where somebody wanted to rent as you. So sometimes I would be able to sleep over at his house, but even then the mom would make sure that this be the separate rooms. So they were like, I put sleep over, but it can't be separated. Yeah. So so we, I figured married.
Okay, so the next question about marriage in Indonesia, right? It's often comes with the notion of, and we talked about this before, adopting the whole family, right? I think a lot of people in the in the comments said, it's not just Indonesian, it's an Asian thing where you adopt the whole family, and it's not. I guess the perspective is, when you're married in the Western country, you're married to your partner. Of course, you become friendly. That the extended family becomes part of your family, but there's a different kind of expectation if you're married to an Indonesian man. And then the younger generation really find this culture overwhelming. One of our viewers even said, just leave the family, and I think this account is an Indonesian account, right? But how did you adapt to this culture when you just got married?
For me, it was... No, shocked is a totally wrong word. So, my family in Germany is super, super small. So, I don't really have any aunts and uncles. So, when it was Christmas time, when everybody was saying, oh, these are cousins and so forth, I had nobody. So, we were just hanging with my grandparents, friends and family, and that was basically it. So, I was actually jealous of the people in Germany which have cousins and so forth they could go to. So, now I'm coming to Indonesia, then meeting my husband's family. And right before we got married, he actually had a kumpulan keluarga with 300 people. Get the regular family. So my challenge was to figure out, so this year, this is the birthday. Nikahnya sama ini, anaknya gini, nanti ini kakak. So basically figuring out the structure. Like now this is the little basically auntie and the marriage. So that was my problem, figuring out addressing the people correctly and the family structure, knowing which kid goes to where and the husband and all those things. But I'm really I enjoyed it because now I can fall actually back on a huge network of people, or if I need any help, I know I can call them up and say hey, whoever, I need help. And I know some of them would, if it's on the 3 a.m, they would drive across Java to come here and help me with whatever. So that's actually really great.
And how about you, Ibu?
I also was from a smaller family. There's only 4 siblings. And in Canada, of course, you have family, but your core family is just that, right? But moving here, I was a bit surprised in that the concern of the family for the extended family. So not only are you involved in your business, but the family's business as well. And not okay, you do your thing and I do my thing, but I'm concerned about what's going on. And as you mentioned, the level of help that they're willing to volunteer to the family, they feel very supported. And I think this is a good thing, as you mentioned, that they support each other. And so was I surprised? Very. He comes from a family of 9, so also a very large family, but I see that as a positive aspect.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the challenges, right? I don't have this because I'm not married to Indonesian, but I know a lot of my friends where, when they're newlywed, they're lucky if they can live outside of the house of one of the parents, right? A lot of Indonesian, when they're married, they still live with their parents, until they are settled enough or they can afford to rent a house or to buy a house. But then when you don't live with your parents or parents-in-law, there are certain, expectation, again, from the parents that you should come to visit them every weekend, let's say, Does this happen to you?
No. Maybe because my husband and his family lived in America for a long time. So it was okay. So there was never, you have to come and so forth. Even for like Lebaran and so forth. You know what we went? With pulang kampung last year, this year, kita jalan-jalan aja sendiri. So it seems like family okay. Everybody else ought to jalan-jalan somewhere else. So there was never the pressure. Look, kamu kan pulang. Yeah. But if you want to come by, come by. And my mother-in-law still lives in Jogja. I love Jogja. So we like to go there. But of course, we kind of stop by and say hi and then also.
But in our case, we had, at that time, there was a family villa that we often spent weekends at. And so all as a family would come together and we would spend the weekends together. But I felt it a good thing in that my children got to know their aunties, got to know their uncles, had a really good relationship with their cousins. And so it created family ties that I knew from my side they weren't getting.
Yeah.
And so I am thankful of that, in that we did have that opportunity to get together as a family. And even I have 2 daughters that are overseas at the moment. That's one of the things that they miss about not being here.
Okay. And then, I mean, I have a question that is not here. I think, talking about being more submissive, right? As women, Indonesia culture is very patriarchy. I think both of you had kind of similarity, as in your husband actually experienced living abroad, right? While the traditional Indonesian man, I'm not saying everyone, but I'm just saying from my experience that they were brought up, the man is let's say the bread maker of the family and the woman is supposed to take care. I remember my experience when I wanted to apply for college and my grandfather said, why do you do that? I mean, you end up in the kitchen anyway, And, and then I started to learn to drive car when I was 14. And again, because, my father is Betawi, so they had a huge land, and then in this land, they built this is my grandmother's house, and on the left is my father's house, and on the other side is my uncle's house. So we all basically live in a compound together, we grew up together. So yeah, that's what he was saying, that you should be able to cook good because you will cook for your family. You don't need higher education because you end up staying at home anyway. Your husband is the one who's going to provide for you. And yeah, you're going to do all the house chores, And growing up, my father never really, he, let's say, sweep the garden, do the pots, and it's more like a hobby. But I never really see him doing the house chores, right? So the partnership there, it's not really a partnership, right? So how was it for you guys with your husbands at home?
Okay, when you enter into a marriage, there has to be compromise, right? And I think the fact that definitely my husband spent time overseas, he was aware of my level of independence.
Yeah.
And he accepted that. But when you come to Indonesia, there is a very, very definite mindset as to this is the man's role and this is the woman's role. And I wasn't exactly fitting that role, but I am thankful that he allowed me the flexibility, that it wasn't absolutely, I wasn't expected to take over that role 100%.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful about that. But I think moving into a new country, there has to be compromise.
Yeah.
And the level of compromise that you have to accept is quite large.
Yeah.
And in order to make the marriage work, you have to be willing to compromise on many different levels.
Yeah.
And I think if you do that, but not only from our side, but also from husband's side, if you do that, then you will, be successful. If not, it's going to be tough.
No, I agree. I think compromise and communication are 2 very, very important pillars.
Yeah.
Because if you don't talk about it, then it builds up in you and you get angry for maybe this stupidest reason. So I told my husband straight away, we got married, I can't cook. And I can make pasta and simple things and so forth, but I can't cook. and I will never be a cook. So he knows that. He doesn't care. There's no food, there's no Jagger. Plus, it's cheaper to go out than making something at home. For like, I mean, even taking care of the family, it was, even my husband, he enjoyed changing the diapers. So, because it was for him, like, I mean, he's a doctor as well. And then he was like, okay, fine, it's something to check, child is healthy and so forth. And I remember him coming home so many times when he called to his friends and wanted, hey, can you imagine so-and-so have never gamed on her baby or never changed his or her diaper? And then for him, it was like mind-blowing, because for something like caring for his own offspring is so important. So I think because he stayed in the States, he was already manipulated in that way.
Yeah.
That we didn't have all those conflicts, and it's purely 100% traditional Indonesian land.
Okay. So going back from where you met and then you had a wedding. All right. Tell us about your experience on the wedding party, because my husband, he's German. I told him our wedding will be small, right? You know, and he's like, oh, okay, maybe 50 people maximum. Yeah, it's going to be a very small. I didn't say intimate, but I said small. We end up having 350 invitation, which then we ordered 700 packs of catering in the building and then it's in the building, right? So he was very shocked. I think that was one of the first culture shock that he experienced, right? And here in Indonesia, I think at the time, because he's German, I was the one. My side of family was the one who take care of everything. You know? He just needs to be there. He just needs to come, and he needs to wear his traditional, show up and wear his traditional outfit, right? How about with you guys? Like, how many people was it in the wedding, and were you part of the whole planning of?
Yes, I was part of it, but we kind of broke a lot of rules in the way, because it was for us more like a budget reason as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we were both like studying in college. So therefore, my mother-in-law, I remember first she had a list, and I think it was like 1,000 people.
1,000?
Yeah, like it's a huge list. And then my husband and I were like, sorry, what can I do? So we just took a pen and were like, nope. And I think we cut it down to also like 350 in the end.
Yeah.
And then we try to make it like a bit Western-ish. So I was like, why do you have the akad nikah and then the reception and so forth, different venue? And I was like, no, I mean, it's going to be tiring, that's hard. So we actually went to the local mosque in UGM, and because they have a beautiful garden there. If he's ever been there, it's a beautiful mosque, it's a beautiful garden. I was like, hey, let's have everything right there. And it turned out super gorgeous, and after us, basically the mosque was fully booked. But people in the pit is the same thing. People really accepted that. It was outside, and I think we tried to make it a bit modern-ish. So, and maybe because it was in an academic setting, people were really like, oh, okay, this is cool. Because a lot of docents had been overseas with studies, so they have seen Western weddings. So there was never really like something weird about it. And then we still have that evening a small dinner with just really our closest friends, just to have the Western style wedding feel to it. So in the morning was all the family and friends and people you had to invite, and then the evening was like really 20 people.
But 350 people is still a lot, right? I mean, like, don't you remember when you were standing in the stage? Were you in the stage? Kind of like, not really stage.
Yes,
but you know what I mean?
That, but it was pretty, since it was just 300 people, it was quite quick, so I could actually like mingle with the people a bit afterwards. So you can have 1,000 people. I mean, I've been to those weddings where you had like, I don't know, 5,000 people where you shake hands like non-stop and you don't even know who you met.
Exactly.
So, yes, there were tons of people which I didn't know who they were. But there were also a lot of people which I actually knew who they were, and it would place them.
Okay. How about you, Imogene?
In my case, at that time, my Bahasa was not that great. And the wedding was not me that planned it.
Yeah.
His family kind of planned it. So we got the formalities out of the way by having a signing at the house. Very simple. I was just told sign here, sign here, sign here. I didn't know what I signed. At that time, I really didn't know what I signed. And then we had the evening reception. Again, small wedding of 800. He had 798 guests, and I had 2. My mother and my brother came. So this is my family, and that's his family. And it was very different than what I had expected my wedding to be, in that we were on the stage, and it was a handshake of everyone, to the point that your hand hurt after that. But it was very much like a formality, like, okay, you do this, and then you cut the cake, and then you do this, and then it's over, and you're married. So it was shocking. It was different than what I was expecting, but come to learn that it was quite typical, that that's what is kind of expected of a wedding here.
What do you think of, I don't know back then, in the Western country, but we always have ang pao, right? For, wedding present, right? I mean, I guess 30 years ago, I remember my mother still, buy a set of ceramic, like plate or whatever for wedding gift. But then somehow it changes to you just give money. So what was your experience? Like, did you get gifts, like actual gifts, or did you, is it more like ang pao? And how was about, like from a Western perspective, if you attend a wedding, how much do you think you would give to the people who invite you?
Okay, let me start with the first one. The second one is a bit tricky. I actually liked getting the money. Yes, because then I could buy what I wanted and what I needed. I got some gifts as well, and some are pretty cheap. I re-gifted. Some are useful, because actually somebody gave us like a kompor, because it's great. If you're moving into a new house together, you need like those basic things, so that's amazing. But besides that, I prefer the money so I to buy my own things. To your second question, how much would I give? I think it really depends on how close I am to this person. Also, is this wedding happening in Jakarta compared maybe to Jogja or Semarang or so, like on that setting? So I don't think there is a number I can give you, because it really depends on how close I am, and also like is it just me and my husband coming, or is the whole family coming?
Yeah.
Like meaning basically the kids as well, so then I would give a bit more.
Yeah. Okay.
We were overwhelmed with gifts. We had 13 tea sets, none of them matched. We had 20 pairs of towels, every single color, and I think something like 20 wall clocks, so we had a lot of gifts. Yes. But I think as time has moved on, people have just become more practical, in that I was shocked when I first got the invitation. It says, don't give me gifts, just give me money. And I thought, that's quite offensive initially.
Yeah.
But it's so much more practical. But from the other point of view, that I do have gifts from close family members, wedding gifts, that until now have huge sentimental value, in that, this is from my sister-in-law, this is from my brother-in-law, and so those things become special. So about this, personally, if it's a very close family member, I would probably ask what they want, what they need, and perhaps consider giving a gift. But otherwise, it's just more practical to give money, and then you can get what you need. Yeah.
That's it. And then now the second question is like, I forgot about this. What do you envision, for your children's wedding in the future? Like, do you want them to have more intimate, Western style, or do you want them to have what you had?
I mean, they have seen so far only Indonesian weddings. not too many Western weddings. So honestly, it's up to them. I don't care. Like it's their wedding. So I still had to kind of do what was custom here and what the family here wanted in a way. Because yeah, you invite all those people and so forth. But if my kids later on decide, hey, mom, dad, honestly, we just gonna climb up a mountain and only have one witness and then get married there, be my guest, do that. If that's what you want and it makes you happy, do that. On the other hand, if they want to invite thousands of people, silakan. So it's totally up to them because I don't even know where they're gonna end up, who they're gonna end up with. Maybe they end up with a totally different. This maybe somebody from Africa. There it's very different again. I don't know. It's totally up to them.
How about you, Ibu Jin?
We've been that. Children all varied, so we've been through the weddings. Their weddings were very representative of who they are.
Okay.
So coming from a mixed background, the second daughter wanted to come back and have the dream Bali wedding that she's dreamed of from her childhood, the beachside wedding. So her husband came from Canada and his family.
Okay.
And we had a beautiful wedding in Bali. Third daughter wanted to be married overseas in Canada, and which she was, but she wore a kabaya.
Oh.
So I think it was a very representation of who they are, and they incorporated both sides, and very happy. Again, I supported what they wanted. At the end of the day, it's going to be your wedding. It's your special day. And very happy with what I did.
Raising kids in Indonesia, the benefit is actually, you have a lot of help, or you can afford helps. It's much more cheaper compared to the Western country. But then he said, yeah, but I don't want that my kids grow up with their nannies or their helpers or whatever. And a lot of people now opt to actually do it themselves and without any help at all. What do you guys think about this?